Welcome back to the Liverpool 12-Man Show. It's actually a little bit dark and dreary day here in my part of the world, and I think it's a little bit dark and dreary since the results of yesterday for a lot of us as well. Um, it has been really, really difficult to get through, but yesterday, I didn't get an opportunity to do a post-game reaction simply because I was knackered after that game. Drove down to the supporter pub. Shout out to the OGs at my supporter pub that absolutely um, absolutely came out with a very very established group of fans that would have been there regardless of where we stood in the table. But
Yeah, like a television in the background of you.
yeah. Give me 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me take care of that. Yeah.
It wasn't a good watch yesterday, the game, was it? Like, for the Liverpool fan, although we equalised and all that one, it wasn't a good watch, that game. Like, we were crap, and we allowed a ropey United side to pretty much dominate us, right, for the most part.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully it's a little bit better now. Wait, that might be. Let me see if I can do
I
something.
can't hear nothing now.
Yeah, but I think
It's just when you were speaking, like if it was on when you were speaking, it made it.
I know it was pretty loud. I know. Yeah. Let me do something. One other thing here. This is set up. Yeah, what it is with a lot of what we're seeing with the Premier League table in general right now is a struggle. It's a struggle because we want our team to do well, and what we're seeing our team actually perform, the likes of performing, is not the same. It's like one of the two different things.
Yeah. Been a lousy season, and that match was lousy yesterday. I didn't expect us to win there, like with Isak, Salah, and Khatice taken away from us. We didn't have that much attacking threat. Still managed to score 2 goals. That's because they're not that good defensively. But had we had our forward players, especially if we had all 3 of them, might have been a different story. But shorn of that talent, that amount of talent, it was a bit thin. The old, the old coat of the squad, like, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit of a jaw. It's somewhat jarring to see the results. I mean, look, let's be honest. To anyone new, this is, seeing what happened yesterday might not be too jarring. I mean, if you're new to supporting this club, but I'd say, being that this has been the first time that Liverpool have lost to Manchester United in, I believe, 10 years now, twice in the, to get actually home and away, beaten home and away. I think it's 10 years, I want to say. It hurts, because what happened at Old Trafford isn't just it's just not another loss. It's not another loss. It's not just 3-2. It's a reflection of a season. It's a reflection of the direction of this team. It's, more importantly, it's the reflection of a decision that's already been made, because whether fans like it or not, Arne Slot is being backed by FSG, and we are going to have to relatively suffer from the fact that some of us do not agree with the direction and the pure emphasis of where our team is directed towards going. And that's the realization. I think that's what hit harder for me yesterday, especially, is that, you know, what's was his performance bad? Yes, but was the fact that the game plan was even worse hurts even more because we've seen it time and time again, and we've been told to not pay mention or pay any mind to it last season when some of us were pointing that out. And we were told, who cares? We're winning the league. Doesn't matter. When we got all these acquisitions and we started seeing players that were very influential in the ascension towards us getting that title last season, I was told, who cares? These players are better. These players are much better in this way or that way. Who cares about that player? He's this, he's that, and all the revisionary systems that we utilize for players like Elliott and Lutro and Darwin and the likes. And now here we are, losing to a team that easily could have been relegated last season. And that's why, what does this mean for where Liverpool are going is the bigger question that weighs on my mind. I think that's what we're going to try to discuss tonight. Lee's got some formulated opinions about it. I know I've got my own, and I'm sure you've got yours as well, because this is where we're at. We're at a very tough crossroads with this team. And I mean, like, it hurts because, again, I was called delusional, or I was called unappreciative when this happened against PSG, Southampton, PSG last season. Alarm bell started going off a little bit. Treatment of Elliott, how he could get a game winner and he can't even see the pitch. And yet, we got into it, got to the end of the season. We're games in hand, we've won the league.
We're lucky that Chelsea lost 3-0 again, and that was at home. They lost 3-0. And Aston Villa lost as well to Spurs, didn't he? Because they rotated so heavily. They went and lost all 3 points there. Because they're getting ready for the Forest semi-final, aren't they? The second leg, to try and overturn it and make the Europa League final. But that's done us a favour, Villa losing and Chelsea losing. But also Bournemouth are up around us now, aren't they? Not far off us.
I just think that, I've been saying this for weeks. I don't think it's a theory any longer. It's not this is just your opinion and it's only your opinion that holds this. Every single game Liverpool play right now is being, from a fan base perspective, I believe, is being judged through one lens. Do you believe in Arne Slot or do you not believe in Arne Slot? I know I've heard a lot of rival fans and the likes have been trying to place it as, do you want to, trying to think of what do you have to place accountability on the players? Absolutely, you have to. However, players are important in that equation. But at the end of the day, if your team doesn't do well, let's say you have a business and your team doesn't do well, shouldn't the boss be the manager or the boss? Shouldn't they be held accountable first? The reason why they get the big paychecks, the reason why they get the big title, they get their own little corner office. They have to be held accountable. And this debate isn't going away because the club has already made their stance clear. They're going to back this manager. They want him to stay. They believe this is a fixable problem. And that doesn't mean that the conversation has to stop, I think. And that's where I think that this debate and a lot of what we're seeing is frustrating. I don't know. Are you with me on that, Lee, or do we differ?
No, it's frustrating where we are right now. Like, with all the good players we brought in the summer, last summer, it's been like unconscionably dire, and it's just been so noticeable the drop off. We haven't even like come close to looking like a good team this season. A couple of performances were all right, but not more than that. We just had a bad season from beginning to end, and it's been too bad. You know what I mean? As I said, unconscionably dire, and that ain't very good, is it? Ain't very good at all. I'd like to think that the noise is coming out the club supporting Arnie keeping his job and nothing more than courtesy to keep things sweet. So it's like, yeah, you're all right.
I mean, like, we can only hope. I mean, that because I think when I say we can only hope is that again, I'm supportive of this manager in the sense of, do I want to see us lose? Absolutely not. I want to see us lose so it assures that he leaves. No, I'd rather him win and be successful, and me just have to, grin and bear it with the results or with the performances and deal with it. But the problem is, we're not even winning. If we were consistently winning with some type of identity, some type of real presence on the pitch, some type of actually entertaining, enjoyable football, we would have a different conversation. But that's not what we're seeing.
If they justify keeping him in the job next season because we qualify for the Champions League, I mean, that's a very low bar to squeak in fifth place or whatever, or fourth place. Like, that's a very low bar considering the players we brought in the summer and the fact that we were champions. Like, what would be the expectations for next season then?
I don't think questioning the direction of this team is reactionary. I don't think that questioning the manager, and I do question the manager, I've questioned him numerous times. I don't think questioning the manager is disloyal or some type of way, I think asking, is this the right call, is not calling for, anarchy. It's called analyzing what's in front of us. And what's in front of us is a dysfunctional core. This is not the identity I connect with for this team. And unfortunately, if our standards have sunk into a place where qualifying for Champions League is the first priority, not competing for trophies is the first priority, then we've lost the narrative completely.
Thing about our game with Villa, it's well after the semi and before the final sort of thing, like, so it won't make any difference there, but they did rotate heavily, didn't they, against Spurs, and it cost them. They ended up losing the game at home.
It did.
And still or die for Spurs. Spurs had to win that to try and, claw back something, like, and get them started if they are to stay up.
I just think that the Manchester United game, I think, perfectly captures the split in our fan base, because depending on what you want to see, you can argue both sides of this. There could be a case, and I've seen a small minority, I believe, and I think it's a minority, not a majority, definitely a minority, but some might say it's 50-50. Some might even say it's there's more people out there than is willing to be made, because I know that the fan base that congregate, by going to the games and traveling with the team tend to be a little bit different opinions than some of those that congregate on the internet. However, I think that there is a number of fans. You hear them after the game. You hear them, chiming in on the fan channels, saying they are not for this. type of football. And what I mean by that is you can make an honest case to say Liverpool go 2 down at Old Trafford. They fight back to 2-2. That matters because if players have given up on the manager, then that comeback probably never happens. There's still effort, there's still response, there's still fight. Context matters, though. There was no Mohamed Salah, who's been, I think, personally forced out of the club by this manager. There's no Alexander Isak. There's no Hugo Ekitike, obviously both out with injuries. Away at Old Trafford, team already struggling for consistency. So, yes, you can argue that this result makes sense given the circumstances. Slot isn't working with a full deck, if you want to call it that, right? And then there's the bigger thing about they're still likely to make Champions League. That's the objective. That's achieved. Then mission accomplished is what he might term it as, and that's not the mission. It was never the mission. No one ever said the mission as if you had a list of priorities and you set them as top to bottom, making Champions League is not on that list. And if it is, it's at the bottom. And that means that you've missed all of your other priorities on that list. Because let's just flip this real quick. Let's just flip this. We're going to get uncomfortable for some, but let's flip it and say, we have now just witnessed a team lose 19 times. 19 defeats this season. And it's not just 19 L's. It is how we lost those games. I'm talking about getting embarrassed at the Etihad. I'm talking about getting embarrassed by PSG twice. That's not just bad. That's unacceptable. No intensity. There's times when captains have called out the team for quitting. There's no structure. There's no awareness. There's all these things have to be pinpointed as being concerns. And you can call it out on the players. Absolutely, the players should hold accountability because they've got to look themselves in the mirror and say, we've got to be better. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with the manager. Plain and simple. If you don't like that, then don't become a manager. You can't become the boss and then not have the gravitas to be able to take on the accountability of what that title carries. And I'm not reacting to just one game, even though this game does carry more weight than others. But this is a pattern that we've been seeing time and time again. How many times have we said, oh, did we turn the corner? Have we turned the corner? Is this Liverpool turning the corner? How many corners are on this track? We're reacting to a pattern of slow starts, passive midfields, defensive disorganization, reaction instead of control. That stops being circumstantial, and I believe starts becoming systematic if you allow for it to be. So I'll ask Lee this question. Are Liverpool losing because of the squad or because of what's being asked of the squad?
Both of those things. I'm glad that he at last resorted to slagging off the players, like in his presser after the match. Saying, switched off and that, like, and, that isn't down to him. That's up to the players, like, not to switch on. But, it was just, for me, a fairly inept display. Yes, we managed to get level, but the whole thing was uninspiring, but not surprising, because their form's better than ours. Like, we've only started winning again recently. They've had a good run where they've only lost once in Newcastle in about 7 league games or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's the dividing line.
They had the luck as well, the way it come off McAllister's backside and went in, it was going straight at Woodman.
Let me just say this.
For him, that deflection took it away from him. And then the second one, Woodman come out and flapped it, and flapped it onto Sesko's chest or his stomach.
Let me say this real quick too, just to deal with some of those things, deal with the 2 points you just made. One, this old school types perspectives, but if I see another defender turn to show their back, basically, or stick out their bum, as you guys like to say, right? As a form of defending, not only are you running laps at the end of the game, you are picking up everyone's dirty laundry. You're doing, I don't care what, you're doing something that is going to remind you to never do that again. I've seen Joe Gomez do that. I've seen Virgil van Dijk do that. I've seen now McAllister do that. That is abhorrible defense. Like, as in, when that's become a thing in the league, I have no idea, but I will say that it is abhorrent to see that players don't have I'll use the word gravitas, to be able to just to take one for the team, I guess, in essence, like, you're scared where you start wearing a mouth guard like Endo does. He doesn't turn his back when a ball's kicked. That's why he's wearing a mouthpiece. But it's like, it's one of those things where you're just like, get over yourselves, man. Like, stop doing that, because you're doing nothing. That is some weak sauce of pretending that you're trying to make a defensive. You're half-assing it, I guess you could say, and that's pathetic. And I also will say this too. The second point I would like to say before I introduce JK into it, I would like to know when rules are supposed to apply to football and when they're not supposed to apply to football, because I've seen an entire podcast or entire show episode where I saw, they had like just, I think, one representative for Liverpool on the panel, and then 3 others that were all like Manchester United players, or excuse me, players in Manchester United, content creators or fans. And I watched them twist, turn, and bend over backwards, simply like they're playing Twister, to explain how the handball should count. How a ball that you see the direction of the flight of the ball be changed by hitting the fingertips of the player going into the goal, and yet I'm watching them explain that it should be allowed. This is on a channel where the host made this whole big cry out about how every team in the Premier League needs to stand up for bad calls. It has to stand up against the PGMOL and demand accountability and demand for us to hold some higher level for this league. And as soon as it's against his team, where'd you go?
Well, I think I noticed in the chat, Hilo said that Isak trained or something like recently, so like we'd be able to have him for Chelsea if he's trained, hopefully. Because without him and without Salah, and obviously after CK is out for a long time, it'd be harder to beat Chelsea, won't it? Even though they're playing terrible and have lost whatever it is, 7 league games in a row, they've still got a good team.
No, they've got a good team. I'm sorry to cut you short. I was just going to say, Lee, this is a Liverpool in an era where we've seen players that haven't scored in probably their entire career all of a sudden have goals against us. Okay. Let's keep it 100. Chelsea is as much of a, despite Chelsea's record, despite the poor form Chelsea's in, every team's a threat to beat us this season. Every team is an absolute threat to beat us.
You've got players that can hurt us if we let them hurt us. Because we let Man United get on top of us, but they were like, you know what I mean? They did have the home advantage and the crowd behind them. But at home, we should be hopefully beating Chelsea. Like, if we want to finish ahead of them, definitely that'll see them off in that regard. But yeah, it might be hard if Isak isn't fit and all we've got is what we had against Man United, then it's going to be hard to beat them because he's going to score. I know we will have. We scored 2 goals at United, but you know what I'm saying. It's going to make it a good bit harder for us.
Yeah. JK, sorry for the delayed introduction. It was in the middle of it's just going to be a very rant-filled probably episode considering we didn't have a post-match yesterday. I'm telling you, it took all the energy out of me yesterday. Because that game was an emotional roller coaster. It's a bright and early game time for us. So you know, I'm up early in the morning. We're trying to stay positive and upbeat. When we go down 2-0, get a rise out of us at the 2-0, thinking there's a chance, and all to watch. You know, Kobe Mainoo, a player that couldn't even see the pitch. Again, like I said, that guy, he wasn't even being called onto the roster. He was being left off
scored
roster.
in like 700 days or something.
Yeah.
You get me?
I think
that's what we always do.
his
Donkey
last
hasn't
goal.
scored for years.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Exactly.
we play Liverpool, I will give you gold. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We are a Make-A-Wish foundation when it comes to goals.
Yeah. Santa Claus.
Now, our weak attempt to clear the ball before the first goal, wasn't it? Like, you know, trying to get rid of it. Goes to Cunha twice in succession. The second time, like, gets it on target, takes that flick and takes it away from the keeper. But our failure to get the ball away to anywhere near safe, being safe, was noticeable. You know what I mean?
Well, let me bring up because I saw Sky Sports did a segment with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, and so you can kind of get a feel for what maybe the punditry is saying, because I know I brought up, you know, what the guys on the Football Terrace were saying, what some of these other content creators on some other channels were saying as well. I'm going to bring up some of the things, though, of people that obviously are very well connected to both of these teams. Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, very, very devout fans and supporters, yet pundits for us as well, you know. And I think what was interesting was on their presentation on the show they did. He spoke about some of the things that we've been speaking on time and time again. And it's interesting because Jamie's he's done, you know, complete 180s with his opinions when it comes to backing his coach and not backing his coach, towing the line and not towing the line for the team. But this time he didn't hold back. Jamie didn't hold back, and he said the key word he used was worried. And he didn't say he was frustrated. He didn't say he was annoyed. He said he was worried. Because his question is simple. What is this Liverpool team? And that's a big question of what I've been asking for time now, too. Are we a counterattacking team? Are we a team that is all about, you know, the press? Are we a team that initiates our goals to be scored from our strikers? Or are we still a wing-oriented goal-scoring team? Do we play out from the back? What is the identity of this team? Did you talk about the midfield? He had in his conversation, he said there's a lack of physicality. There's lack of
Maybe
physicality.
start Rio this time because we're at home and it is Rio's ex-club, innit, who we got him from.
Mhm.
Couple of spicy one, that's to start him against them, see what he can do against them. Be funny if he scored against them. That made me
Well,
laugh.
this is what we'll get into. We'll get into to the Chelsea game in a second, but I'm just talking about what Jamie had to say about the team, and if you agree with it, because he says there's a lack of physicality. He said that going for good players hasn't worked, and we're moving away from Klopp's identity, and that's where it gets deep. He says because there is no identity on this team. He says because there's no identity, that is the identity of this team. He talked about the philosophical shift under Jurgen Klopp. He said there's intensity, chaos, pressing, emotion. And yet under Slot, there's control, there's structure, there's technical play, all amounting to what? Are Liverpool banning what made us elite for something that's not fully equipped to work in the Premier League? Does Liverpool need to return to Klopp-style football, or should we fully commit to Slot's vision, to Slot ball? Tell me, JK, am I alone in thinking that this is a fool's errand, basically?
Look, bro, at the end of the day, you remember the Klopp days, the energy, the happiness. It was just every game we were looking forward to it, you know? Totally different vibe now. Who was confident of going to Old Trafford and winning yesterday? Normally I'm like, yeah, we're going there to win. Yesterday I was like, ooh, you know what I mean? And that's the manager. So for me, we got to get back to basics now. We need a personality. You know, when I look at the Zebri guy, he went to Tottenham, 2 wins on a trot, bang. He's probably saved them from relegation now. You know, look at the game Tottenham played yesterday against Villa. Bro, they're all over them. So, and they're all running for the ball. Our players don't seem to be doing that. So, a new manager should have been brought in after that international break before we played City and PSG in the Champions League. And we didn't do it. Will it cost us Champions League football? I don't think so. I'm thinking, look, if we don't beat this fucking Chelsea team that I just watched earlier today against Forest, yo, forget about it. I'm playing next game against Villa. I'm telling you now, I'm ringing up Arne. I said, listen, bro, I'm playing. I don't give a damn.
That's why we desperately need Isaac, whatever sort of fitness state he's in, just to have a spearhead, like, you know.
But saying that yesterday, bro, I think yesterday we played attacking wise okay. I think Gakpo played pretty well. He was probably one of my man of the matches for us. I think he gave 100%. Yep. So he was playing a good role up top yesterday. First time in a long time. I was like, you know what? Fucking fair play. Gakpo was involved. He had a good game, man, for me. So we never missed Isaac really yesterday in that way. You know what I mean? Because Isaac is a different type of player to Gakpo, I understand. But yesterday, I think what let us down was McAllister. McAllister deflected goal. McAllister trying to kick the ball out, went straight to their guy's goal. So for me, McAllister made 2 mistakes, cost us 2 goals. We lost the fucking game. You know, I think game of 2 halves. First half, probably one of the worst halves I've ever seen. Second half, a much better fight back, bit of spirit, and we should have took the 3rd goal there. If we got the 3rd goal when we were on top of the game, you know, we were attacking after we went 2-2. But hey, we've got to beat this Chelsea team coming up next week. I'm blessed to be with Kid. How you call Red Armchair, everyone? Yeah,
everyone in the chat, Beans on Toast, Lone Sheep, High Lore, Red Armchair supporter.
Do Despite Chelsea
Yeah.
getting like goal through João Pedro, they should be brittle in terms of their confidence after losing. I know they won the FA Cup game against Leeds, but I think that's their 6th league defeat in a row, or it might be their 7th now. And they can't buy a point, can they? Can't get a point for love or money. But it'd be just like us to provide them with one, given the inconsistent season we've had. And if we don't have Isak, that'll just complicate things.
Lee, but aren't you looking, Pat? Aren't you looking? What did they say? Looking at the was it what the forest from the trees or something like that, or what's that saying?
Oh, I can't see the wood for the trees.
Like because I could understand you saying, or I could agree with you on your point of saying that we should be a favorite to beat Chelsea, absolutely. But then again, I would have said that against PSV. I would have said that against I would have said that against a lot of the L's that we've picked up. This against Fulham, okay. I would have said it against or some other terrible games that we played this season.
The bottom line is after losing our last game, we need this win, don't we? Draw's not good enough, and a defeat is unthinkable.
Why I'm saying it this way is because if we played well, be a different story. But anyone can step up and have a good performance against us. What JK started his conversation with by what he said in our conversation was spot on. We are a charitable donation club when it comes to goals. Manu has not scored probably since the FA Cup game where he scored on us. And now all of a sudden, we're hearing I heard Terry from the Football Terrors call him, he's got the potential to be legendary. Like, what? We absolutely have been a charity case this year. Absolute charity case. And teams and players don't fear us when they have to go up against us. They look forward to it. That's why I started this conversation off with the philosophy being ass backwards. I don't know how else to put it. It is a flawed philosophy that this coach holds, and teams tend to mirror their coach. This team and the players that he's chosen to resemble himself is what we're seeing. I'm not talking about a Jurgen Klopp team that he took and he tweaked here and he tweaked there. I'm talking about a team that has been completely brought in with players that he wanted to bring in. And I'm not saying that they're bad players, by the way. I'm not saying Florian Wirtz is a bad player. I'm not saying Frimpong's a bad player. I'm not saying, any of these players are bad players. I'm only saying that they're the fight and determination and things like that are what aren't existent. And people might say, beginning of the season, I got called out because I said Dominic Szoboszlai was going to be the player of the season. After a season where people were in this team or in this fan base were calling out for Dominic Szoboszlai to leave. Dominic Szoboszlai has come back and made an incredible rebound to his season from last season. But why I'm bringing that up is because, one, Dominic Szoboszlai came to this team because of Jurgen Klopp, primarily because of Jurgen Klopp, and obviously because of Liverpool and the aura that is Liverpool. But one of the things that I liked about Dominic Szoboszlai is that he had the fight, the confidence, the urgency of a Jurgen Klopp style player. It was obvious why we went in and did the enormously large release clause to get this player a part of our team. The only reason why this team is actually even remotely considered to be holding on to Champions League is because of some of the last remaining qualities of players from Jurgen Klopp's team. Not players that Arne Slot brought in, not players that exemplify what Arne Slot wants to do with control and all that stuff.
Mm.
The reason why we are where we're at and holding on to the edge is because of Jurgen Klopp style players that can muster up and show that monster mentality that we used to always covet for this team and get us over the line. But you can only go to that well so often.
I tell you what, I would find quite distressing if we keep hold of Slot and Alonso ends up going to Chelsea. Him managing Chelsea, like, especially if he did well, even if he only did well at the beginning, like, you know what I mean? It'd be hard to take if we kept Slot in the job. And we did struggle next season, as we might do, like, because none of us have got that much faith that we're suddenly going to be in the summer turnaround, we're suddenly going to be like miles better next season. But there has to be, like, you know, quite a large, like, degree percentage of improvement for us to get anywhere next season. Because we never likely to win anything. We were in this season, none of the cups, the league, we were out of that, like, you know, pretty early, weren't we? Like, we knew it wasn't going to be a season where we were challenged for the title, but it's just been really bad, hasn't it? It's been so bad, like, that it's almost beyond words. Ineffably bad, yes. Ineffable. Beyond words at times. And the slow, ponderous nature of the football, playing bad football and not getting results is a terrible mix. You know what I mean? When you're playing bad football and not getting the results, it's not a good mixture. That's why the fan base is a bit pissed off, isn't it?
Jamie went on to say that I think something that I've been emphasizing about the player selections or the players that we're relying on currently, and I just think just because some of these players, that fight, that grit, that whatever you want to call it, that Klopp-esque style, you know, never give up mentality, it's not been ingrained in these players as of just yet. And just signing, this was his quote, just signing good players isn't enough. And I think he's spot on. That's definitely a shot at recruitment, being Hughes and Edwards and the likes in the board. But Liverpool didn't just sign players. They signed Florian Wirtz. They signed Alexander Isak. We had two of the largest acquisitions in Premier League history. Big money, big expectations, and yet the team looks worse. That's a concern. He went on to criticize Wirtz. He said, he says, we've been very kind to Wirtz. That's a big statement because, you know, he's saying basically the grace period is over. He said, he also said about a lot of different things about the players in general not living up to what is or should be our standards. I'll ask JK this, since he is our German correspondent right now. Has Wirtz underperformed, or has he just been misused by this coach? Or is that just an excuse that, not excuse, but like I'm giving him an excuse to not hold accountability himself? I don't know if JK is with us, actually. Lee, can you answer that question? Is Wirtz underperformed, or has he been misused?
He's underperformed, but, you know, there are reasons we've had such a bad season that, you know, we haven't been consistent, you know, to allow him to bet in easily. Like, you know, we've been up and down, losing a lot of games, and it wasn't a good season for him to come into. But he has underperformed as well, like at times, and been a bit too anonymous, like in big games where we're hoping for something from him. But hopefully that'll get better next season if the team has a better season. Which I was going to say then, I can't imagine a worse one this season, but I can actually, and I just hope that isn't next season.
Well, let's bring in Slot's comments. How about that? That's always a fun ride. Let's hear what our coach has to say, because he's always got some very, very I'm not going to comment. I'll just allow for his comments to speak for themselves. Because he does two things in his comments, and that is he calls out decisions, and he is apparently trying to take some responsibility. He said, on VAR decisions, Slot is clear. This has happened all season, meaning we have been hosed on quite a few of these calls. Again, it's really, really weird when you do hear like the football terrorist. I've been trying to connect with Terry on some ends by leaving him very detailed and passionate comments. But I don't think he wants to deal with like real serious conversation with people. I don't think he wants to deal with real conversation. He'd rather have some of the representation for our team on his show that doesn't want to be constructive with it. That was a handball yesterday. That was not only a handball, that was a red card, I believe, personally. I've seen red cards be given for less. And I think that easily that challenge by Bruno, who knew what he was doing. He was late, he came from behind, and he came in with his studs up. And that could have easily been, especially with our luck when it comes to challenges being performed on our players, that could have easily been another player being injured for the season, if not more. And that's scary because that's where you have to take on the acknowledgement that was a bad challenge. We're fortunate that Dominic Szoboszlai did not get injured. And again, with our luck, the way our season's gone, it could have easily went the other way. We could have probably expected it to go the other way. But he talked about PSG penalty, which I think, again, I thought was a penalty when I thought McAllister was a penalty because I saw the very next in another game I saw the very same given as a penalty. Because he gave the Bayern comparison in the Bayern Munich game. There's an inconsistent of officiating. That's Champions League, though, my friend. That is Champions League. Then he says this. He says, we conceded because we lost the ball in a stupid position. That's the key where he's trying to, I guess, acknowledge the fact that that what happened is on us too. He's acknowledged the real problem is internal. And the sheer fact that we are 3 games away from, I think it's 3 games, right? 3 games away from ending the season is when we're still having these same issues. There's been no solution provided. No consistency of a solution. Are Liverpool just being unlucky, or is it creating situations where luck just doesn't matter? We're just bad. Which is it?
Well, our luck was out yesterday with the way the first 2 goals went in, but we contributed towards having bad luck because we just let them get on top of us, and it ended when they scored because they started to get on top of us, and we allowed that to a certain extent, didn't we? so we couldn't really complain once we went behind. We've been warned a few times, like, and then they go ahead, and then they get another one, like, yeah. I never thought we could win that without Isak as well as Salah and Ekitike. I thought a draw would be, I predicted a 2-2, so I was only 1 goal away from being right. But yeah, I thought we could get a draw if things went well, you know. But even that was beyond us. At least we finished the match like 11 men, and so did they.
Let's see. JK, what are you thinking?
Yep.
What are you feeling about it?
Look, bro, we've got 3 games left now. Thing is, Chelsea and Villa are also terrible right now.
Yeah.
You know, blessing in disguise. If them 2 teams were really poor as well, we'd be in trouble now. You know?
Yeah, we would be.
Arne Slot sort of got away with it in that way. We're sitting in 4th. Yeah, you know, they're just showing highlights of the United Liverpool game from last season where it's like 3-0, and look all the players who were involved in the goals: Trent, Diaz, Salah, and all of them missing yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, get that. I get that.
Mamardashvili as well in goal.
Yeah. At the same time, you'll be told by other people, sometimes not even people in our fan base, by obviously by the rivals especially, that those players were not important.
Yeah, that's why it makes me laugh when people get them out, they're rubbish. Diaz, Darwin, we could have done with the Darwin this season. We'd like that type of guy on the pitch.
People are wondering. The only reason why I'm loosely I am gaslighting a little bit, but like loosely gaslighting, I guess. Talking about Richarlison, is because Richarlison brings that kind of crazy chaos energy that Darwin brings, and that's something we miss.
Yeah,
and that's how sad it is. I would be almost willing to, accept Richarlison on this team, just because I'm missing that
bite,
chaos, that bite, that that player that's going to go out there and bring the dog. That's not going to back.
You know what I mean?
That hunger that's gonna show heart.
Well, it's fair to stay up. He's got a part to play, and he did yesterday by getting the 2nd goal, didn't he? Who got the first one? I've forgotten now for Spurs. Anyway, it was a good win for them over Villa. But Villa,
look, Paulinho, he was like solid yesterday. He was the guy we should have just brought in.
Mm-hmm.
He would have done a job for us this season.
No, I liked him before he went to Munich. Now he's come back, but he's a good player.
And he's been their best player, Tottenham's. He's a good player, man. He would have done a job for us this season, Paulinho.
Yeah, he would have. He actually would have been a difference maker in the sense of we could have possibly either, if we were to stick with the 4-2-3-1, he would make our pivot something more sustainable, something more concrete.
Yeah.
Because he's not going forward. He's going to be an anchor in that pivot. He'll allow you. Okay, Grav, you want to go forward and play offense for us, or be getting offensive attack for us. Fantastic. You can do that when you have a player like Paulinho that is going to pivot and be there to hold down the fort. It's the reason why I think Nolate's calls early in the season for us to find a way for Endo to get some playing time was on point. It was on point because if you have you're not going to have a immensely fast presence. Paulinho's not fast either, so I mean you're not going to have some incredible pace in in Endo, or even if you did have Paulinho in that role. But at the same time, you know you're going to have a defensive player that knows how to play defense, that knows how to mark, that knows how to cover space. And it would have made a difference. Maybe our midfield's not getting run through. Maybe there's a challenge being put on a couple players to remind them that this is Liverpool. You're not going to have your way with our midfield. It's 1-0 in this game, by the way. They're at halftime, and Cherky has another assist, and he's got Doku a goal in this game against Everton. So Manchester City are up 1-0 as they try to hold on to a title race with Arsenal. Maybe claw back some points.
They've got to win today. They're playing again City before Arsenal, so they've got to win that as well. Who they're playing City? Do you know who they're playing next, City?
I can tell you in 1 second.
I know Arsenal are playing West Ham.
They're playing Brentford at home.
Oh, okay.
They have Brentford, and then Crystal Palace. Brentford.
I think they will probably
they have two. They end this is their last away game. They have 2 home games to end the season.
Oh, okay.
So
that's where they have to get the goals then.
Yeah. They can get the goals at home.
Yeah.
They can definitely get the whole goals at home. Yes, Crystal Palace, who's been, media at best lately. And, again, and there'll be a team that's seeing their former captain, hold down the center fort against them in that game. And then they'll have Brentford, who Brentford, I don't know about Brentford. They've played well, but they've also, come off of they've come down from their streaks. Mm-hmm.
When you look at the table, if we got a point yesterday and then beat Chelsea, we would have got Champions League football secured, but on Saturday.
Yeah.
Like we're 6 points ahead of Bournemouth, yeah. So with 9 to play. So we've got to beat Chelsea. There's no ifs or buts about it. We've got to beat them. Got to beat Chelsea. If we do not beat Chelsea, if we don't beat them, forget it, bro.
He should be. I would say it's this sack. This tell the manager he's getting sacked immediately.
Look, bro. At the end of the day, we've lost to both Manchester clubs home and away.
There's absolutely no way. If there was rumors though that even if we didn't make Champions League, he would have his job secured. That's why I'm just like, I don't understand this.
I understand that mentality.
I don't understand the mentality. I don't understand those settings, those standards. I don't understand. That sounds like an Edwards and a Hughes who will be, possibly leaving after the season, saying I'll double down and just to prove my point. And if they get it wrong, who cares? They're out. That's how they see it, So why change up now with I think I've been saying this before too. I think that with the uncertainty of whether Hughes is going to stay or not, there's been reports that he's got a deal already in place, by the way. There's been reports that he's got a 3-year deal already made up for himself to move on to Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia. But even if that's the case, why I think it's interesting is this coach, if we're going to get a new sporting director, it would make sense that the new sporting director decides on the new coach, as opposed to having Hughes fire this coach, bring in another coach who doesn't have any certainty that sporting director is going to stay and that his job's even safe. So rather than take that risk, I think Hughes is saying, this is my speculation. I'm not ITK, but I'm just thinking that Hughes would say then, okay, Let's just stick with Slot. We're not going to bring in another coach. He's not going to go out there and do another coaching search. He's going to stick with this coach because that's his coach. And if anything, from what my friend Drifty is saying, he's looking on and I've heard him respond to it too. Initially, he was referred as a coach. I've heard him say statements saying that he's a manager.
This new fella, you mean Reiners, who Arnie wants to bring in as one of his coaches. He wants to bring him in last summer, but couldn't, something for work permits. Yeah.
There's a chance. And even someone might say, well, then that's even more of a reinsurance. There's a chance, because I remember, didn't Brendan Rodgers bring in new staff right before he got fired?
Probably, yeah. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, does it?
Right.
If they decide to pull the chain on Arnie, like, and flush him, then, like, you know what I mean? It'll be other than that, like, you know. So it's been...
Yeah. So...
That's what I'm saying about the club, bro. The way it's run sometimes with the owners, Edwards and this other lad, you know, you don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you noticed as well in the last few seasons, a lot of bullshit news comes out from the club about Salah staying, he's going, and this and that sort of news. You know, like Canate's going, he's staying, and this and that.
It never was like this, though. By the way,
we're never like that back in the days.
Yeah, it was. We were supposed to we were supposed to be the club that the secrets stayed behind, you know, locked doors. In essence, you know, like there weren't any you didn't learn about secrets. That's why, like, sometimes we'd hear players that got picked up by our team, and we'd be like, "Oh wow, there wasn't even reports about this guy being on our radar." And all of a sudden, we have a player coming in, you know, like. Did anyone know that Jota was going to be a part of our team until it really actually happened?
No. He's just a surprise.
Yeah.
A
welcome surprise, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Sabotolai as well. No one talks about him.
Out of nowhere. Yeah. Out of nowhere. And that's the thing, is that I think it's a different practice, a different presence. Now, all of a sudden, you hear what rumors don't you hear? It's Slot's in, Slot's out. Alonso's in, Alonso's out. Salah's leaving, Salah's not leaving. You know, Curtis is leaving, Curtis isn't leaving. Robbo's done, Robbo's not done. You know, like, it's like your head's in a tailspin. Your head's in a tailspin.
Keep it smooth operating, you know what I mean? Keep it smooth, man. Don't rock the boat. The owners need to look at Slot as well, the way he gives press conferences. Not great. Gosh. Not making the club look solid. Not making the club look like a solid outfit. Don't fuck with this sort of attitude, you know? He's too trying to get his message across, not the club's message, you know what I mean, bro?
Oh,
it's like, come on, man. This is what I mean about Edwards and the other guy. What the hell are these guys doing? Wake up, man.
Again, he's here for the short period, the mid period, and the long period. I'm like, what does that even mean, dude? You're here for a short time. Yeah, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah. Look, bro, when I look at his interviews, he don't give me confidence that he thinks he's staying. That's what I've been getting. You know?
I mean, I don't think why should he even have that confidence? Other than us being a loyal fan base that normally rallies behind our coaches and our players and the likes, and obviously rally behind the badge, why should he have some allegiance other than him reminding us, oh, well, we were in, you know, before I came, you guys were in Europa. I'm like, why are you talking about that, man?
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago, not last year. It was 2 years ago. Because the reason why you're in Champions League is because the coach before you got you to Champions League. I mean, one thing if we were in Europa and we were still in Europa, don't have that come out your mouth. That's stupid. That's disrespectful.
Isn't it
That's what I'm
Braga and
saying.
Freiburg in the other semi-final of the Europa League? Braga and Freiburg, is it?
Yeah, from Portugal, yeah, and Germany, yeah.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
ask, can I
Palace
ask you
and
guys a question?
Shakhtar.
Do you know this with this coach particularly too? Is it frustrating? Because I know it's frustrating for me. I'm asking if it's frustrating for you. That because we have Arne Slot as a coach, we are now linked to some of the like mid-level talent I've ever heard of. And the only reason I have never heard of them before, but the only reason why I heard of them now is because they've been connected to a Feyenoord team, you know? Like, why all of a sudden are we connected to every player that has played for Arne Slot in one way or another at some form of their career? Is that not frustrating?
Lazy writing, isn't it? Yeah. They love doing them type of stories, bro.
It is so it's either it's why it's sad because I like Holland as not only as a country, but I like Holland the football team and the likes of it. I've always liked the orange. But the point is like with Holland or with this coach, it seems like if he is a former Arne Slot player or he's Dutch, automatically he's a player that Liverpool are going to go for. And I'm just like, what is that? Why? Dutch have incredible players. Don't get it twisted. But that shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be. That's like you said. It's like lazy writing.
Yeah, that's too much of that going on, bro. Too much of that. I can't listen to it. I can't watch it. I don't care who we're after. For me, first things first, let's sort the manager situation out. Forget like Elise. If I hear Elise's name again, I'm gonna go. You're like, come on. You know what is this bullshit people are writing? Elise's having the top season at Bayern. He might do the
He's not
double
going
there,
anywhere.
triple. He's got the
Not
FA Cup
yeah.
final there this weekend, so he might win the treble. I can't see him coming to Liverpool unless we pull out
No.
150 million.
I saw statements by some of the higher ups at their team at Bayern Munich, and they made a connection to I think it was for Raban, right? How like he was having an incredible year or something like that. Well, I think that was the player. It was one of those players, and teams were coming in trying to say they wanted to make acquisition, whatever. It might not have been Raban, but anyway, the number that they got was so incredibly high. They had a meeting and they said something about how like this is a great number. Should we go? And he said, we're never going to go. We're never going to give up on a player that makes our team better simply for money. And I can respect Bayern Munich for saying something like that. They're basically saying this player makes them better and is bought into their club. And rather than take the opportunity to, show them the money, they decide to be loyal to the player, be loyal to the club, and be loyal to the presence and concept of what they're doing with the club. I can respect that. I'm not a big Bayern Munich fan, by the way, at all, but I can respect that. I'll see if I can find the exact quote, but it was an interesting quote. Very interesting quotes. I mean, yeah. I mean, that is wild too. This is something to think of. If you take a gander at that, that can kind of tell you where we're at.
Yeah, that was a particularly bad season after nearly winning the league and being gazumped by City right at the end. Yeah, I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? Because that was particularly bad. That we were terrible in Europe as well that season under Rodgers. And we were in general under him. We were shit in Europe under Rodgers. Something he hadn't managed to crack, getting results in Europe for us. I remember us getting knocked out by Braga, who were like, I'm not being weird, but Braga's small club under Rodgers, like Braga knocked us out, and looking at their team, and I was like, can't even beat these, and we couldn't, we knocked us out.
I'll tell you this too. This is an interesting. This was a very interesting. This right here. I don't know if you heard this or not, but James Pierce to the left at the Athletic reported that the squad were given off time in Europe before the Manchester United game. So it's fair to, he said, quote, it's fair to ask the questions about the preparations. This is Manchester United. This is not a small game. This is not a small game. That's why it's so frustrating. A lot of players had enjoyed mini breaks in Europe after being given some time off after the win over Crystal Palace. The Slot thought that a breather would do them good, and he was mistaken. Instead, they were lethargic and lacked intensity. That's what James Pierce had to say. And that's what I mean by this coach does not. It's why I wrote that in the thumbnail.
Too casual, bro.
He doesn't understand the identity of this team, and I don't think he has any interest in ever doing so.
Yeah,
that is ridiculous. Who goes on holiday before the biggest derby of the year?
Arne Slot does.
Oh my gosh.
Look, they can have how many breaks they want, as long as they do their job when they come back. You know what I mean? Then none of us are going to question if they went on a break. Who cares? They got the job done, they got the job done, but they didn't get the job done. Again, Man City, Cup, FA Cup, never got the job done. PSG, home and away, never got the job done. How long is this going to carry on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No, game was 2 halves yesterday. I think second half, we were definitely better than we were first half. Should have tried to get the third goal after we got the 2. So, yeah. Considering we had Ekitike, Isaac, Salah all missing.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Major firepower there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, McAllister, I think, just made 2 sort of mistakes and cost us 2 goals. And for me, that Sesko goal was a fucking handball anyway. So, realistically, we should have 3 clean sheet yesterday if we never made mistakes and they didn't handball it. So,
we're never going to get
the day
where we
should have.
It would have took them forever as well to rule it out if they would have. So that was never going to happen. But yeah, it did. I think brush his fingers, but you had to look hard to see it, didn't you? So I can understand.
Yeah, just look at the ball, movement of the ball, bro. When as soon as it goes near his hand, it sort of changes direction.
Yeah.
Simple fucking. Come on,
pretty
man.
Simple. That's pretty basic.
Yeah. So
well,
it's a matter of
it's not
a matter of you need to show it. I know
at least Mainu's goal was a decent effort and didn't get a deflection,
set up by one of us, one of our players set up, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. It did that, it was just a bad display, wasn't it? It wasn't very good.
I think second half we played pretty well. I was like, yo, Rio coming on, yeah, I don't know, maybe a little bit too early, maybe.
Be thinking about
but all in all,
against Chelsea.
We could have won that game yesterday.
I just don't think Isaac for Chelsea. It's Saturday and it's 12:30. It's one of
Is
those
it early kickoff? Yeah.
morning kickoff.
They'll probably be coming back from I don't know, night in Paris or something the night on the weekend or Amsterdam or
Right? Who
something.
knows?
You know what
I mean, they're probably
Get back in for the Chelsea game.
after this game, after losing to Manchester United, who knows? They're probably in Dubai, right? Probably hanging out.
Skegness.
Yeah. End up pizza.
Well,
Skegness is like a seaside sort of place in England.
There you go.
They've
Both
taken them
Olsen-
there. Say, you know what? You didn't win. You know.
I was going to say both us and Chelsea were dismissed from the Champions League by the same opponent in PSG. And, you know, with the minimum of fuss, they managed to beat both of us quite easily. Like, at the end of the day, both ties, both quarters and that, like, in the round of 16. But, yeah, we've got to be beaten then. With them losing however many, it's at least 6 now in a row they've lost league games, Chelsea, which is unprecedented, I believe, for them. Not since a long time ago has that happened to them, where they've lost like that many games in a row. This is new territory for them, I believe, like in quite a few ways. And we've got to capitalise on that and make sure that they don't move off this territory to a winning one, keep them losing. But, you know, they've got good players so they can hurt us. Joe Pedro got on the scoreboard today, didn't he? You know, we got Neto and, you know, whoever else they got, like Casado and Fernandez, haven't they? You know, they got a few wingers, like, although Mudryk isn't one of them now. He's had his ban. Now, hasn't he, like a longer ban or some crap? Oh, he cost a few bob him, didn't he, that Mudryk? I think he's Ukrainian, isn't he, that fella?
Possibly. It's just a wild.
Yeah.
Neto's a good player, Pedro Neto, if he's fit.
Yeah, look, but when you look at the game today, what Forest did well was they're on their toes. They didn't let Chelsea rest and took the game, just put the game at them. You know what I mean? We want to do the same. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Simple as that.
Well, I did have another segment to do, but I just wanted to. I had 2 other segments actually, but I'll skip through the third one and get to the fourth because this was actually something that I reacted to today. Shout out to KJ, by the way, who is on the Catch Up show, and he is holding it down, trying to represent, obviously, our interest on that show with multiple other representatives of other clubs, fan bases, at least. You know, you can say what you want, but I mean, when you are on some of these platforms, you do represent the fan base. You know, people connect. You know, people connect, for instance, Arsenal with the Gal, or you know, or I'm trying to think of Hamza for City, like as in those, you know, they're names and presences that you have on there. And KJ is doing a great job of creating a viable and contextual presentation for our fan base to be in conversations and in these discussions and arguments, and going beyond just the banter of it all, which I commend him on. And I felt for him today because he was on, I think, a Touchline or something, I think his name is. He's a Manchester United youngster. I'm calling him youngster because he acts like a youngster. And it was
He's about 78.
I mean, he's going off about this and about that. He said that last time, he's like, there weren't TVs when we won our last Champions League. He said something on the lines of that our you know, when we won titles, we have to refer to our grandparents to ask them what it was like to win titles. It shows when you're dealing with some of these not only some of the younger generation that act like history only started with the Premier League, and they act like history only started when they started watching football. But it also is just what I wanted to get into about my last, my Jerry Springer final word, I guess you could say. And it's why I think there's this is one result, and this one result has created such a delusional mindset for these Red Devils that we have to deal with. I've heard, and I'll get into what I have to say, and then I'll allow for even the panel to give their say and share of what they want to discuss with this topic. But I've heard that I've heard this touchline guy, and some others think that Liverpool are the worst fan base, most because we're braggadocious, or we're this or we're that, and yada yada. And this is coming from a Red Devil, by the way. And it showed me why Red Devils have to be. I know that my contempt is large for Arsenal, and it's primarily because of the way their fan base acts online. But after yesterday's result, we were kindly reminded that there's no greater delusional, worse fan base on this planet Earth than the Red Devils. Oh my gosh. And I'll say it like this too. Losing to Manchester United at Old Trafford didn't just cost us 3 points. It handed United something arguably more dangerous. It handed them the narrative.
Well, the owners know that we ain't losing to Man United anywhere, anytime. So Arnie's result yesterday hopefully won't have gone unnoticed, by the top brass.
I don't think it will.
This won't do. And especially if they hear that statistic, that's the first time they've done the double overs in ages. And
in a decade.
It's
been a decade. In over a decade, yeah.
Yeah, Louis Van Gaal was the last time, wasn't it?
And that's what I said. Let me be clear. This wasn't a title deciding clash. This wasn't a 6-point pointer in a genuine race for obviously the title. This wasn't a performance that screamed, "We're back." This was a chaotic 3-2 against a depleted, inconsistent Liverpool in a season where United themselves have been nowhere near elite. And yet, listen to the noise we hear from Manchester. Suddenly, United fans and even some pundits are talking like this is a turning point, like this is a validation, like this is proof of direction. Even worse, it's now 1-1. Still plenty of time left in that game. 72 minutes. Arsenal fans are on pins and needles right now. But they're acting like it's a moment. And moments don't erase seasons. And I mean by context with that is that because, if we're being honest, the broader context of what we saw yesterday tells a completely different story. Liverpool are not the team that were knocked out of the domestic cups early. Liverpool were not the team that was had embarrassing exits against lower team opposition.
No, it was Man City and not Liverpool knocked us out, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
Oh no, it was Palace who knocked us out the League Cup. Grimsby knocked them out the League Cup, and Palace did us. And in the FA Cup, who knocked them out? I can't remember. But they went out anyway early on. So you only have to focus on, haven't you?
It's 2-1 now, by the way.
To who?
To Everton.
how Everton winning 2-1. Well, I thought City would drop 2 points somewhere, but they could drop all three here. And that's great news for Arsenal. It wouldn't seal it for Arsenal, but it'd put a massive dent in City's title bid if they lose here at the Hill Dickinson.
What I was saying is it could be the things just keep getting worse and worse. But my point of why I was bringing up about the United is there's no real consistency across the campaign of Manchester United, except for the fact that they've played one game a week since probably January, I think, or something like that. Okay. And they've pulled it together. I'll give them that. They've pulled it together. I don't think that they went on holiday before our derby, despite winning the week before that. And now the same team is acting like they've arrived, like they're suddenly an elite destination again, like managers are lining up to be Manchester United coach, like top players are prioritizing them as the team to be a part of, all because they beat Liverpool.
If Arsenal manage to win the league, it will be a shame because of the way they've played for a lot of the games they've been in. That quote from Herzl was good when he said there was only one team trying to play football here. When he went to Arsenal with Brighton, didn't he? And after the match, he said only one team tried to play football. But I was glad that he said that, Herzl, because it needs saying. I was very pleased he said that, in fact.
But what I will say too is that I think what Liverpool lost yesterday is control of the narrative. As in, this is the frustration turns inward. I think because Liverpool didn't just lose the game, we lost the narrative to a fan base that is deplorable, to say the least. We gave United confidence, we gave them momentum, and we gave, worst of all, a voice. And if you've been around football long enough, I've been around football quite a while, you know what happens when United get a voice. They are the loudest voice in the room. No matter how bad, no matter how good, they are the loudest voice in the room. The arrogance of their team and their fan base are undeniably connected. And the revisionism starts immediately. Now suddenly they're back. Now suddenly they've overtaken Liverpool. They're a better project, which is all nonsense in my opinion. But it's loud nonsense. And that is why this loss is different. It hits different, for me at least, because this isn't just about conceding goals or dropping points. This is about understanding the weight of the fixture. Liverpool versus Manchester United isn't just another game.
No, we were already embarrassed by the Anfield result against Admiral, and now this.
It's a cultural battle. It's psychological. It's narrative defining. And too often in this match, Liverpool didn't look like they understood that. That's where the criticism of Arne Slot becomes sharper, in my opinion, because it wasn't simply because of tactics, but it was because of hunger, fight, determination, will. You don't just lose to Manchester United. You empower them by losing. And Liverpool did exactly that this weekend. United didn't become great overnight. Let's not get it twisted. They are not that team. But if you listen to the airways right now, all of a sudden, the loudest voice in the room are the people that think that third place is a trophy. They don't fix their structural issues. They didn't suddenly become the top destination in the world again. What they did is they beat Liverpool, a side that was beaten down and really dejected. and poorly coached, I believe. They're going to keep feeding the very voices that used to be silent to be louder now. And right now, that's what is so frustrating. And that's why I say I don't believe this coach gets the identity of this club. And I don't think he has any intentions to ever get then the identity of this club. We've seen coaches been held to higher standards, and we've seen coaches been held accountable for less. And watching our team get outplayed and beaten by a team the likes of Manchester United is something that is surely and simply unforgivable. Absolutely unforgivable. And now we have 10 minutes to see if we're about to watch the Premier League be handed to Arsenal by our crosstown rival, Everton. 10 minutes away. And on top of that, Pep Guardiola, I heard, is given the final. Apparently, he's decided that this is going to be definitively his last season at Manchester City. So, Lee, you're quiet all of a sudden. Now it's 3-1.
Was busy, half busy.
No, it's 3-1. It's a wrap.
Well,
it's 3-1.
All right. Oh, bloody hell, 3-1. No way,
Arsenal
man.
are going to be champions.
Yeah, it looks that way. This should do it for them if they can just hold their nerve and win their games.
The teams that they have left are teams that they'll be able to get by.
Surprised I haven't heard me dad shouting in joy at Everton beating City 3-1.
Let's not go there. Let's not go with the Arteta Klopp thing, Trudon. I'll pride you that mathematically that could be correct, but Arteta with a season where he can get 85 points maximum does not equal to a season where we had 99 points. That is not even close, not even remotely close, in my opinion. I think that's well, it's not over just yet. It's 3-2. But it is pretty much a wrap. 83rd minute. They would have to push to get 2 goals because they're going to need to win. They can't do a draw. They have to win.
I mean, a draw would help the cause, rather than, but you really need to win. With Arsenal winning their game easily against Fulham.
I'm gonna explain something. I'm not trying to get triggered because I'm about to, but I'm not interested in trying to compare Arteta with the fact that he's won. If he does win and he does go on to win, the fact that you would ever compare Klopp, the fact that Klopp has won 1 title to Arteta's career is laughable, to say the least. It has nothing to do with it. We're talking about Klopp winning 1 title against Manchester City in the prime seasons of their existence. And now we're talking about Arteta possibly winning in a year of Manchester City's Pep years. One of Pep's worst years is when Arteta wins in a league that doesn't have Klopp in it. That's not a direct comparison, I don't think, in my opinion. I think that falls apart. That's context. I'm not talking, those are facts as well. Facts are facts, and that's context. That's context. So, look, JK, do you have anything you want to add to this? Because 85th minute. Because I'm getting, I'm not trying to. I'm sad enough that we lost against Manchester United. I'm not trying to argue whether Klopp should be compared to Arteta in any breath, any mention of the breadth of the word.
I thought City had managed to win this one, and that'd be the Bournemouth game that had tripped them up. But I mean, they've got Palace as well. The next home game, who were a bogey side for City. Very much a bogey side for City Palace. And then they finished the season at home to Aston Villa, don't they? But it might be done and dusted by then, by the last game. It might not go that far now.
Mm-hmm. It might not have to go that far.
Arsenal got the goal difference now of these being, mind you, it's 3-2 and I think only lost one. City, but Arsenal put 3 on there.
No, but the goal differential doesn't matter if you don't have the points.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it's like another point though, in it, if it's better than the other club, if you end up level on points. You know, we lost out on it.
I just thought I'm trying not to get triggered, man. Klopp did not underachieve. You're talking about Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest coaches of all time. How's that underachieving? Talking about a team. One of the years that we lost the title was against the Centurions. There's moments where we put together incredible runs. Incredible runs. I don't think that I get that sometimes people want to talk about. I say people, but I can get the conversation. But what's going to VAR? What is going to VAR? I don't have this game on in the background. Erling Haaland has scored to make the second goal. Went to VAR, and I guess it got taken out of VAR.
So it's still 3-2, is it?
3-2 still.
With a few minutes to go.
7th minute, but knowing that it's Everton, there's definitely going to be time added on to this one.
Well, Arteta will be doing a little dance of joy in his living room probably now if he's watching this game. And, saying thanks to David Moyes.
They all will, certainly. They all will.
This will make it 14 for Arsenal, I think. So it's like 6 back from us in United still. No biggie for me, and I don't know any Arsenal fans. I know that they will be insufferable, some of them, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah. They are certainly pressing, I'm sure.
Well,
Bernardo Silva has been subbed out.
As far as getting to the Champions League final goes, drawing 1-1 in League One to Metropolitano was a good result. But, Atletico are good away from home as well when they perform. They just got to perform and they could still go through at the Emirates. But be a good end to the season for them if they win the league and go to the final.
Yeah, should be very interesting. Game is Swiss. What's this on? It's on USA. Of course, there is. see. Nope. All right, so they're pressing. I don't even know what is Everton even playing for right now.
Can't see the pictures. Sounds like to do
No,
the good.
no, I meant like, what are they like? They won't even if they get this win, they don't get Europe. But I guess they do have a chance to get Europe if Brighton falls off or Bournemouth fall off.
Yeah, it's just a big scalp for them, a good scalp for them to have a title chasing side this late in the season, come to town and lose. It would be a good one for them, like, regardless of whether they make Europe or not.
Yeah, it would be 50 points that they'd be on. They would be tied with Brighton, but still behind Brighton in goal differential. And Brighton is in 8th, Brentford's in 9th with 51 points, and Bournemouth's in with 52 points.
Before we beat them, Everton went far behind us points-wise. I think they were only like 6 behind us, but we beat them and then went 9 ahead of them. Yeah, not a right season. Certainly an improvement, bringing Moyes back. I don't like it, but he's a manager and he's improved them from Dyche's side. Because they've had that many managers, like, not settled on anyone.
Pickford shouldn't even be in this game. He should be still serving a red card. There's going to be 6 minutes added to this game. 6 minutes are going to be added onto this. So I'll ride out this game with you guys.
I would like one of the, no, I shouldn't say it really, but Pickford's tackle on DVD. Maybe if a City player was to do that on him.
I think that's a different narrative. I mean, to each is their own. I mean, you're giving context in itself by not giving context. Like, there's those of us that want context. You talked about facts, yet you don't want to include the facts of the story. You just want to talk about the end result. I think there's more to an end result than just who won, who lost. And that's what I think. But Pep Guardiola looking on the sideline, very befuddled. There's Pep Linders behind him. Wonder why Pep's not up. Shouldn't he be happy?
Pep Linders. Well, yeah, he won't be getting his hands on the league trophy, will he, in his first season at City, by the looks of it. This would probably be a fatal blow to the title hopes. It's not over yet, like, but they'd be hard to come back from this. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost more points now from here, maybe even against Palace next time out.
I don't think it's just so funny. If Arsenal win the double, if Arsenal win the double, then fantastic. They've won a double. It's not like we haven't won a treble ourselves, but yet our treble wasn't considered to be acceptable because of narratives, because of context. Exactly so, because of context, our treble isn't seen to be the case.
Ours was the best, the first treble and the best one. Okay, it wasn't the FA Cup, it was the League Cup, But the Everton side we beat in the League Cup final that season went on to win 2 of the next league titles in 85 and then
That's
87.
context. That's context. Who wants to hear about context? Just winner won. It's just the winner. Who won or who won?
And we beat Roma in their own stadium that night as well in the European Cup. I think United finished second to us in the league that season, but they were miles off and were never actually in any race with us.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate LFC childhood memory outside St George's Hall in town when the coach came. It was quite late on as well. It was going dark, and I was 11, just turned 11.
He does not care about fouls right now. He's not trying to call anything. It is down to the final minute of this game.
Well, there's bound to be a few.
Best they can do now is get a point from this.
Yeah, near things for City. Points not much use to them, but it was improved their odds of winning the title. Ready to get 8 points, but it's a winning really, innit? I had a feeling that they'd drop points in the run-in, looking at it like last week or whenever, before any of the games were played. Thought they'd drop points somewhere.
Come on.
That leaves it in Arsenal's hands if they do it. And
This is interesting. They're stopping play for a player that is not on the pitch.
Sounds weird. Is Rodri playing, is he?
Most likely. I'm not certain.
The scene of his crime in 2022 and he handballs it to deny us the title.
Donnarumma is up for this corner kick.
Oh, sorry, that was Goodison Park, though, when Rodri handballs it. He got a new stadium now.
And they're still pushing. There's 96 minutes gone. And Turkey is driving.
Has he done it?
The corner.
Oh,
Does
God.
Donnarumma come up for this one? This is a pretty wild one.
Donnarumma going up, is he?
Yeah, he's going up again. This one could definitely be the end.
We'll have to win. Just to give Arsenal a jolt. To go in. You're open mouthed. Yeah, thank you all. That's a laugh of it when it bloody did.
Oh, God.
Paul Moisey
It's
denied
alive. It stays alive. Oh, my goodness. Doku with a shot I've never seen him take in his life. Oh, my
it. A good goal.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
then.
It's
I'm
all
sure-
right.
I'm sure that Tata's watching it, like, and he has a cob on, and he saw that. Probably put his hands on his head.
West Ham have to do a job now.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
So it's not over. They still got to win. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a feeling they'd get that goal there when you said shaky and they got a corner. Thought, just going to go in this. Bloody did. Oracle, Stooge, Crystal Ball.
Matrix.
Yeah.
Doku with an absolute blast. I don't even think Doku had that in his locker, to be honest with you.
He scored 2 good goals.
Yeah, he doesn't score often, Doku.
That was a well-taken goal.
Did it come out off the corner and he was on the edge of the box to
He
Look,
was
three.
outside the box. He's outside the box, so they still got a game in hand. But it's
Yeah, they still got one more game.
But it's 71-76 is the point total. So basically, Arsenal's got to win their games.
It's got to be over now, this game. Like, how much longer
Yeah,
is
it's
that?
over now.
And that hurts.
It's a finish 10-3, yeah.
That might hurt Everton a little bit more than it hurts the chances of
I don't think Everton were going to get Europe anyway, like, but shame for them. They couldn't hold on and get a big scalp, which is title gunning City, or City gunning to keep up with the Gunners. And look, at points, that's bad results anyway.
Look,
for
Arsenal are happy. You know what I mean?
they're
After that
static.
game.
They're static.
Yeah. Before the game, they said, look, City get a draw, they're happy, you know what I mean? So, look, West Ham messed them up last season? Or was the season before? I think it was last season. So, West Ham have to do it again. West Ham need to win themselves. That'd be good. If West Ham beat Arsenal, I can't see it myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just looked there. 5 points ahead they are now with one game in hand. So even if they win everything in front of them, Arsenal will win if they win their games.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace next to with a bogey team for City. I wouldn't be surprised if Crystal Palace even got a draw or a win, because they're a bogey team for City and have been for a while.
The only thing about it is that West Ham has to win. They have to win.
They have to.
It's not about, West Ham is trying to beat Arsenal because they don't
play for. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying West Ham has to win if they have any
They have
hope.
to, bro. Mm-hmm.
If they lose against Arsenal, it's a wrap. Spurs will stay up.
Yeah. So West Ham can't lie down. They gotta fight. Gotta fight
because they have Newcastle and Leeds left after that, and those are all teams that Leeds is fighting. Newcastle is they might be able to pull some points out of that, but I mean, like, they need to get as many points as possible to try to put some distance between a team that they're trailing already. With that loss yesterday, West Ham is a point behind Spurs.
Yeah.
Spurs have every intention of trying to win out their 3 remaining games. Spurs have Everton, Spurs have Chelsea at the Bridge, and they have Leeds.
Hard games
As well. So, I mean, they just saw how Everton did against City today. Leeds is not an easy pushover team. Both of them have them in their West Ham and Spurs both have them in their lights or in their path. And then Spurs at Chelsea. Who knows what Chelsea team shows up,
Yeah. Look, but
Yeah.
we're gonna worry about ourselves.
Hang on, I'm just gonna check that actually.
We're gonna worry about ourselves, like how are we gonna finish this season off now? For me, Arne Slot has to beat Chelsea and has to beat Villa because Villa haven't been great as well. And then the last game of the season, 9 points for me.
In the last 10 games, we have 4 wins, all competitions, 4 wins, 1 draw, 5 losses.
Oh, that's terrible.
Exactly. And that's not talking about the 9 out of 12 games we lost earlier in the season before this. It's mesmerizing, the fact that we're talking about a coach that is confident that he should have a secure place in his role for our team next season.
Hi, Lady B. Trudon. How you cool?
Lady B's in the house. Big up, Lady B. Pick up the JLFC. And yes, Trudon. Chelsea lost to Forest 3-1. I think they lost.
They've lost their last 5
3-1.
league games, and I think there was another one beyond that, beyond what the form thing shows when you look at it. I think it's 6 in a row they've lost, Chelsea, which is like never done before by them in a long time, if ever. They're in dire straits, aren't they? Whoever this fella is who's picking the team now instead of Thingy, not much change really. I just hope we're at the week enough for us to take advantage, because we desperately need those points after losing 3 at Old Trafford.
Look, I'm going to say I have we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, so I'm gonna then we've seen the ending of this game. I'm going to allow for you guys to see some. I don't think I'll get in trouble for this, so we'll see. But this was I'll show you some VAR footage. How about that? I'll show you that. This was from Old Trafford. Just for those that don't think that the handball wasn't a handball. Now tell me this isn't a handball.
There you go. That's handball, man. Mad. That's handball, bro.
He thought it was rugby. Oh man. Seriously. Seriously. Look. There was one notable player yesterday, I think, that showed grit and determination all the way through. There's one player that I do think on this team hasn't thrown in the towel. And I really enjoyed watching him walk off the pitch, and he was trying to gaslight the Manchester United fans by pointing to the gold badge, the gold line, excuse me, and giving it a kiss, because we are still the champions. We are the title holders until the season ends. This is our throne that we sit on, despite the fact that we have certainly not done the best job. I guess this is my bit of, hey, we got to hold our heads up, basically, and keep pushing, keep believing. It's not easy, because I know a lot of times when it comes to this team, it's not easy as of late to rally behind the badge when it seems like our players don't even know how to do it themselves. But Liverpool are worth it, and I hope you believe that too. Best to put it. I hope you believe it too. Well, mon frères, is there anything you guys wanted to say to the people before we bounce out of here?
Yeah, it was a crap result and a crap performance. Really underwhelming. But hopefully we can get back to business in the Chelsea game and put things right. They should be there for the taking. Their confidence should be really brittle. Very much so, like after so many losses in a row. But the thing is, they've still got good players, you know. If their good players perform, we could have a tough afternoon, especially if we haven't got Isak back and we're forced to again have like Soboslai and Verts like running through the middle alternate and Gakpo coming in from the left and that. We need someone at the front, like, and Isak hopefully will be back.
Yeah. How about for you, JK? What do you have to say?
Look, bro, I like that top that's what I was wearing. I think it's a good top. But we never did it justice because normally you go there playing that sort of colour, cream, you know what I mean, and do pretty well. I think Szoboszlai played pretty well. We haven't really talked about the game yesterday, really. I think Szoboszlai, Gakpo can keep their heads up high. Who else? I would just say them two, really. Gravenberch sound. But all in all, Gapco's got a good scoring record against United. He always puts a shift in against United, Gapco. Fair play to Gapco. He's showed a bit of fight in the last few games. It's good to see. We need him to do it again against Chelsea now at home on Saturday, early kickoff. We need to just wrap this season up and get Champions League secured quicker because we've got 3 games. I'd rather just get the job done against Chelsea, you know, and then give Villa a good game, you know, because for me, I want to finish 4th. And if we can finish 3rd, we can finish 3rd. That's why we wanted to win yesterday. I was like,
Yeah,
we've got to finish this season in 3rd. You know, it's been poor, but at least let's finish 3rd. And we never did that. And we could have done that yesterday. I think we talked about Wirtz earlier. You did. I think Wirtz. Look, I love Wirtz. I think he's a quality player. But I reckon under a better manager, he'll be even a better player. So, look, not a great season for us fans. We haven't won anything. But let's see what the manager situation is. I've not really seen any Liverpool fan saying, you know what, I want Slot to stay. I've not seen one, bro. And that's not great. You know, so hopefully, I'd love to see Alonso just come in, get his feet warm when everyone's at the World Cup, get into the club and see what go on then, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Words hasn't been great, Trudon. But when I look at Wirtz's gameplay, his quality, you know, I feel he needs players on his wavelength. Then you'll see the better Wirtz. But for me, Wirtz first season, out of 10, I would give him 6.5, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but look at the created chances in the Champions League. He's created the most in the Premier League and the Champions League, I think. You know, so he scored against Palace. They needed him yesterday to step up. You know what I mean? A goal or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, there was meaningful. So leave you with this. This is my moment of red zen for you. Pointing to the badge, pointing to the gold lion, which is where it comes down to. So we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have another show. We'll have some more insight. We'll probably have a little bit of the fallout from what this result for Manchester City means, for what it means for Arsenal, what obviously our next opponent is going to bring us when it comes to our pursuit of trying to end the season on the right tone, the right note. But there's some names, there's some people that are being mentioned on the transfer rumor block, but today was more about let's just talk about what was and what is and talk about what might be. So until tomorrow, big up to every last one of you. Big shout out to Brian for the raid, and also shout out to the OGs that showed up and to the newbies that as well. I was surprised we didn't have any trolls today. That was one of the things I was big surprised on. No trolls today.
Waiting in the sidelines, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can imagine a lot of Liverpool content creators got it yesterday.
They definitely did.
We've got better things to do for once. The trolls like to despair us.
We'll see. All right, people. Take care. Up the Reds, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.